Welcome back. This is Business Breakfast on iBrandTV, coming to you live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. So it's time to head straight to a second part of the program. Nigeria extended its negative trade balance in the first half of 2021 as its trade deficit surged to 5.81 trillion naira in the period. This is according to the recently released foreign trade report by the National Bureau of Statistics. The report shows that Nigeria's total import is valued at 13.8 trillion naira as against what it exported, which is a 7.99 trillion naira in the first half of the year, an indication of trade balance of 5.81 trillion naira between January and June 2021. This comes on the back of recurrent trade deficit recorded in previous periods, that is 2.25 trillion naira in first half of 2020 and 5.12 trillion naira in second half of 2020. However, this is by far the highest trade deficit recorded by Nigeria in any half-year period. So what's the balance of trade, you may want to ask? For those of you who may want to know what balance of trade is the difference between the value of a country's export and the value of a country's import for a given period. All right, so I have a fellow Chartered Institute of Bankers, Mr. Nsorom too. He's also a financial consultant. Pascal Nsorom too is a financial consultant. Thank you so much for your time on the program. I'm sure I didn't murder that name. Forgive me if I murdered.
You did. Nsorom too.
Okay, Nsorom too. Thank you so much.
That's right,
for joining us. First, I would like to ask. I mean, well, if you look at that that figure, one may wants to believe that, of course, the implications on economy is inevitable. I mean, how would you describe the implications of that figure on the Nigerian economy?
Well, when it comes to balance of trade in any economy, you know that an economy is experiencing deficit or a surplus. It's not really a way to show that whether the economy is healthy or not. However, for a country like Nigeria, which is in recession, so to say, which is unhealthy in many places, right, we would prefer exports to be better and more than the imports. Now, but like I told you, other countries of the world, like America, China, can actually decide to have net negative imports, negative X minus M, that's export and import. The reason is this: America is expansionary. America is has a lot of ways money comes to it, so right, it can decide to import many things at the same time to create competitiveness in the local market, to create make the price go down in the local market. But our own situation is worse because we are not exporting, and Nigeria is just import dependent. The only thing we do here is just import goods, right, and then we don't thrive in the areas of exports, trying to send things abroad. Now, you may ask yourself, why is it that Nigeria does not even export in the first place? Why don't we? Because in a country that has this kind of challenge, economic challenge, when it comes to trade balances, yes, we are supposed to be having high volume exports. Forget about oil. Yes, yeah, because oil, forget about oil. Oil used to be the bane. We used to depend so much on oil. And that is why today, oil in the global market is nothing to write home about. And because of that, we cannot boast of other things we can export. Before now, I've gone to many places, I've gone to many fora to talk to people about actual production. Okay. In the theories of international trade, according to our brother, in comparative advantage, David Ricardo said that two countries can actually trade even if you have absolute advantage in the production of two commodities or all the commodities. You can actually trade with another country.
But let me quickly comment. But ultimately, what you're saying is that we are at a disadvantage end when we export much more, when we import much more than what was exported.
Definitely, and that is
so
what.
If we were to relate this one, let's bring it down to, the level of a layman in the street.
Okay.
So if you were to relate this to the man in the street out there, what impact does this have on that man in the street who is still struggling to survive with his local business, or maybe micro business, let me put it that way, not even the small, but because there's difference between the micro to that little and of course and a small medium enterprise. So what is the implication on this, on that that little man in that corner in his shop trying to grow his business to add up to the activities at the micro level?
Now, the thing is, the local producers, local manufacturers, the infant industries, they are the worst hit. They are the worst hit, because when we have a lot of things coming into the country, definitely it's going to kill the infant industries. And that's why I like what the federal government is doing, banning importation of different things so that the local ones will grow, they will produce and export. Remember, when you export your goods, you earn foreign exchange. And when you earn foreign exchange, your foreign reserve increases. But when you import more, you tend to deplete your foreign reserves so that you'll be able to pay up the obligation you've incurred through importation. Now, when you import goods a lot, what happens to the man on the street is that small business he wants to produce will just die off. And when it dies, we won't be able to produce goods that we now need to export to cushion the effects of the trade imbalances that we've been able to incur over time. So that is the essence of what we are talking about, that when you, in a recessionary situation, when you import more, you are killing the economy. You are killing your economy. Like I told you when I started, I said, when in an expansionary situation, a country can decide to import. Yes, to create
this argument that, there's this debate or conversation around how to drive down the prices apart from producing locally. And the fact that there are challenges at home, yes, most time producing and exporting become a challenge. Okay. And so sometimes some people argue that you have to import to drive down the prices of goods locally. So now that we're not producing much to export and the prices of goods are going up, how do we balance these two situations where we have to not to import to kill the local economy, but also to be able to also
bring down prices?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Oh, well, it's a problem. Let me tell you why it's a problem. Our current exchange rate is very bad, in bad shape, very bad shape. If somebody imports goods from outside the world and brings it to Nigeria, right, and then the essence is just for you to make sure that the prices of things go down. As you are getting through with that, you now need, you need Naira to be able to buy the foreign exchange that you now use to import another one. Right. Now, so you see, the exchange rate is another thing that will always affect the imported goods. And when it affects imported goods, prices will continue to go up. So that's why I said, this is work pari passu, they work in hands. We must produce. We must produce. Apart from the production, why would you, if you said something here that it's not easy to go into production, why is it difficult for Nigeria to go into production? We have people, God has blessed us. According to many theories of international trade, God has blessed us with natural resources. All we need to produce and export. We have cocoa, we have groundnut, forget about oil. We have rubber, we have all we need to be able to produce and export. But the only thing here is that the government is not supporting the local content. That's the problem.
Let me quickly come in. You know, why I said that is because there's a report that talk about the fact that most companies are relocating to even the neighboring countries
Ghana
like
and
Ghana
the rest, yes.
because of the cost of production, right?
Yes, yes.
So how do we drive down the cost of production, or what do you think the government can do in terms of policy initiation that can encourage, you know, effectiveness in production?
Well, like I said, we have enough money. God has blessed Nigeria with abundant money and resources. To drive down the cost of production, we must look inwards and look at those companies that are genuinely producing.
Right.
Look at them, put things into them, inject funds in them. For example, each time I remember this local car manufacturing company, in Austin, each time I remember that company, I feel so happy because at least it makes Nigeria, it shows that Nigeria can actually go beyond where it is. That company produces cars in Nigeria, made in Nigeria cars, and I even learned that very soon they are going to be exporting to the neighboring African countries. Then, if we have that kind of thing, how do we support that kind of person? We try as much as possible to make sure that we inject funds into that and create serene environment for such production. How do you create such a serene environment for such production? Make light steady. If we don't fix light in Nigeria, all we are talking about is just babash. We are not telling ourselves the truth. We must fix power. Power is the major thing that drives production. So we must fix power. We must fix every other thing that is related to that production sector that we need, so that we'll be able to export more of the goods produced in Nigeria.
Let me quickly talk about top exported items and the top imported item in 2029, according to this report. Crude oil, of course, the value of crude oil exported was about 4.0 trillion. 4.0 trillion. You talk about liquefied natural gas, it's about 887.2 billion. I mean, good fermented Nigerian cocoa bean is about 86%. So, but little it's mentioned of, you hear of things that are being imported, like you have vehicles, you have gas, you have machine, or you also have wheat at a alarming rate. Now, perhaps there's something missing here. We're supposed to see an activities in the cassava value chain, in the cashew value chain.
Sure.
So, out of all of these produce, where do you think we should ramp up activities to encourage economic activities or value chain there?
Yeah, cassava production, you mentioned cassava production. It would have been a very good place for us. You know, this security is another thing. You see, what has made this into nosedive seriously is the insecurity in Nigeria. Right. Now, those farmers, they go to the farm to cultivate the small cassava they can bring out and just put together to be able to now have very large production in Nigeria. You go to the farm, the what do you call them? The bandits and the rest kidnap them, rape them, and all the rest. That's why this year I am very sure that if Nigeria cultivated, let's say 100,000 acres of cassava last year, this year I'm sure we will not be able to talk about 10,000 acres, because most people did not go to farm. So apart from fixing the light and the whole thing we talked about, the area of insecurity must be addressed. Yes, addressed. If that is not addressed, you cannot be talking about this cassava value chain. Because it's when you have cassava that you now talk about. I know a friend of mine too who is into agriculture, that's in somewhere in Ogun State. The man goes to produce cucumber and the rest in large quantities. For a long time now, he doesn't go. Yeah, because why does he not go? He won't go because he feels that when he goes there, he might be kidnapped. And when you kidnap a farmer and tell a farmer to bring 100 million naira, where do you want him to get such money from? Next time, he will not want to go. So that area must be addressed.
Okay, I think because of our time, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Pascal Nsoromtu. He is a fellow Chartered Institute of Bankers. Thank you.
God bless
so
you.
Much for.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Nigerians.
All right, we'll take a moment now and we'll come back. Of course, more to come on the show. Please stay with us.